Hi everyone, thanks for staying with us at Pulaski TV today. I'm back at Pulaski Fire Hall visiting with Chief Don Collins, and it's been a while since we've been here, Don.
Yes, ma'am. Normally you try to come 2 or 3 times a year,
Yeah.
and it's been a while.
It has, so we feel like it's time to kind of catch you up and refresh you a little bit on some fire safety tips.
All
Now,
right.
the first thing I'd like to talk with you about is, can you tell us a little bit about what is the leading cause of fires here in
Well,
Pulaski?
Not only in the city of Pulaski, but everywhere in the United States that I know about, that I study and read up on this, the leading cause of residential fires would be in the kitchen, the stove. And the reason for that, mostly people will leave it unattended. And well, that would be talking on the telephone, watching TV, or whatever the case may be, babysitting. But anyway, they leave it unattended. And next thing they know, the house is filling up with smoke and they got a fire. And we've had several of those. And a lot of people get in a hurry. Instead of cooking on medium heat, they will cook on high heat because we always in a hurry.
Oh, yes.
And when you do that and just leave it for seconds, it can cause a fire.
Right.
Yes, so we've had a few of those last year.
Okay.
You know, that's up a little bit. And also on fires in the home, this time of year, seasonal, your fire calls go up a little bit. And one of the causes is space heaters.
Oh, yes.
Now, this time of year, mostly in October, it's when you have warm days, cool nights. You have the heater set, it's on, and then it'll go maybe a day or two and don't come on, and you'll kind of forget about it, and you'll put something next to it. And then when that night comes, the temperature drops 10 or 15, 20 degrees, it'll kick on and you're going to have a fire. So
Right. What's a safe distance to keep things away
36
from that?
inches.
36
Anything
inches.
flammable.
Okay.
36 inches, like, for instance, a fireplace. And like I say, what we're talking about, the space heaters, 36 inches. Kerosene heater, same principle, 36 inches.
Right,
If you
so
keep
everyone
every-
needs to go get a yardstick right now.
Yeah.
Go measure,
And measure.
around your
Yeah.
wood
Yes.
source. Okay.
Most of the time on something that fire starts, a space heater, if you're home, and what will happen is you will start smelling it, like plastics or clothes. You'll start smelling it before it actually ignites,
Okay.
to let you know, hey, you fixing to have a fire. We also recommend you never leave a space heater plugged up if you're going to leave home. If you leave and go to work, make a habit of unplugging it. Not just cutting it off, but unplugging.
Actually unplugging
Mostly
it.
on the space heater.
Okay.
Now, all appliances, you should never leave them on, like coffee makers and stuff. Because we have had fires where people have forgotten left the coffee pot on, it boils dry, and it just all day long, it produces a lot of heat, and eventually could cause a fire if anything's close to it.
I see.
So that goes for all appliances.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're not at home at nighttime, cut them off.
Take them, turn them off. Okay, very
Yes.
good. So now, of course, that leads me to my next question: is fire detection in your home? Now
Okay.
we've got everyone hopefully has smoke detectors
Yes.
in their house. That's very important, number one.
Yeah.
And also, we've got coming up here our daylight savings time, so
Yeah, it's getting
we're
about that
coming back
time.
about that time
Yeah.
where we're supposed to change our batteries.
NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, recommend every 6 months
Mhm.
change the batteries. That's just a good practice. And also, smoke detectors, there is a little maintenance involved. About once a month, you need to clean them. When you run your vacuum cleaner, just run it over the
Okay.
smoke detector, and that'll take care of spider webs and any dust accumulates. Because that can cause one either not to go off or go off when it should, malfunction.
Okay.
So that happens. And also, we all know now that we need smoke detectors. We've preached and preached on
Right.
that. But make sure they work, test them once a month. And also carbon monoxide.
Right. We'll hear a little bit more about that.
That can be more of seasonal too, believe it or not, if you think about it. Like when Katrina hit, and when you have tornadoes, people's out of electricity for a long time. And the first thing they'll do, they'll go to the hardware stores or wherever, and they'll buy them a generator.
Right.
And some people have lost their lives with carbon monoxide poisoning linked to the generator, which runs on gasoline. And that's what produces carbon monoxide. Not a good clean burn. And never use a generator in a garage or inside of a houseboat.
Okay.
Or in a garage, as I say, and anywhere that can seep out and get to where humans are involved.
Right, because
You
that's
know.
something you can't just smell that
You
in the
can't
air.
smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it, but it's there. And it's measured by parts per million. If you go over 70 parts per million, you're going to start having symptoms. Now that could be flu-like symptoms.
Okay.
But if it gets to 150 or 200 parts per million, that's when you can lose your life quick. Because your brain is going dead and it's starving, and for oxygen and everything, that poison's done got to your brain. So you're going to have muscular pains, and you're going to be real dizzy, even vomiting sick at your stomach. But mostly, if you stay there long enough, you're going to pass out. Your mind's going to just leave
Just
you
stop. Oh,
and
boy.
stop. And if you don't get fresh air real quick, you're going to perish in it. We've had that happen here in the city. A guy left his car running in the garage, which the garage was downstairs, and it eventually seeped up to the living quarters, and him and his wife would have been dead in just a few minutes if we hadn't got there and found out what was going on. And they had to go to Vanderbilt. They call it a pressure chamber. Around here, local hospitals can't do much for
Okay.
a high percentage. You have to be put in that chamber
Right.
for several days. 'Cause it's deadly.
I bet.
It's deadly.
Gosh. So that's good to have one of those detectors as well.
Those
then.
detectors, and always remember carbon monoxide is heavier than air. So you want your detector low as
Low.
possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and close to, in a hallway. You don't want to put them directly in a kitchen.
Okay.
Same goes for smoke detector.
Yes.
People put,
How many times have we fanned when
Yeah.
the toast burns? Right.
or close to the bathroom door, when you open the door, the steam comes out and it'll set them off.
Right.
Causes malfunction, then you'll get mad and unplug them,
Uh-huh.
or take the battery out, or whatever the case may be, and then you'll forget about it.
Right.
And then long time later down the road, you could have a
Might have
fire.
needed it, yeah.
And could have saved your life to have it working properly.
You bet.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much takes care of the inside of the home. Sometimes you're driving down the road and you see somebody burning something out in their yard.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, Tammy.
How does that come into play?
In the city of Pulaski, you're not to be burning anything other than for cooking purposes.
Okay.
If you got a grill out here you're cooking,
Oh, yes.
or a little pit, and you're grilling hot dogs, we fine with that.
Okay.
But if you out here burning leaves, brush,
Yep.
whatever the case may be, it is against the law. And people have had to pay fines in the city.
Right.
Yeah.
And now this time of year, you're also cleaning out flower beds because you're
Yes.
kind of getting spring fever a little bit. And you've got a lot of leaves and brush
Yeah.
and trimmings. So what do we do with those?
The street department, they got special trucks just for that. They pick up your leaves and they pick up your brush.
Okay.
And they run once a week. So what you do, you take your debris, put next to the curb, and they'll come along and get it. If they don't, if they get real busy, there may be a little delay there, but you always call the street department and tell them, hey, I got some brush that needs to pick it up, and they'll get it as soon as they can. But never set it afire, because it is against the law.
Against the law. Okay. Very good.
And two, let me say this. If you see something smoking, a lot of heavy smoke in the area, feel free to call 911, because a lot of people see something burning or see a lot of smoke, but they just take for granted somebody else has called 911, and they had, because everybody's thinking on the same terms.
Right.
So if you see something burning illegally, just call 911. You don't have to give your name on that part, and we'll check it out and see what's going on. We'll get it put out.
That
Yeah.
sounds very good. Well, thank you, Chief Collins, for these tips.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
We'll be back to visit with them again, I'm sure, in the summertime.
All right.
So,
So everybody just be safe out there, and always think before we react when it comes to fire.